vea RTV, ¿no?
Voy a hacer una así. A ver, mira, mira. Ahora voy a hacer una que salga.
Mira, me voy para acá.
Por salir de ahí delante del balcón y venir por aquí. Ahí, compañero. ¿Vale? Es esto, pero no es esto. ¿Vale? Ya que tienes esa tarea, a partir de la izquierda está la principal, o sea que no se vea. Si no quieren ver, está encontrarle, porque es verdad que la pintura, una cosa son los campos que nos dicen que se vayan pintados. Entonces hay un efecto, ¿vale? Eso sí que me he puesto para impactar un rato. Era excesivo y tal, por eso me he puesto dos así. Yo voy a quedar, si sale alguien de medio, puede ser el caso de que vas a dar unos por ese razonamiento, cuando suba el Papa, no puede haber
Claro.
En medio es lo único, a un extremo o otro extremo. Gracias.
Cuidado que estamos pinchados, ¿eh?
Laudetur Jesus Christus. Praised be Jesus Christ. Welcome to this live-streamed broadcast of Pope Leo XIV's meeting with staff and beneficiaries of the CEDIA 24 Horas social project in Madrid on this first day of the Pope's apostolic visit to Spain, Saturday, the 6th of June 2026. And so from wherever you are joining us, I'd like to welcome you to this live broadcast. Some of you may be joining us through various Vatican media channels, perhaps the Vatican News app or the Radio Vaticana app, the Vatican News web portal, or Vatican News English YouTube channel, or our Facebook live feed. And of course, to all of you joining us through EWTN TV English, Catholic Faith Network in America, Salt and Light TV, Shalom World TV, Atmar Dashan TV, Luminous Radio and Catholic TV, as well as radio listeners of Radio Maria England, Luminous Radio India, Radio Maria Papua New Guinea and other internet sites throughout the world. Welcome to you all. And as we see Pope Leo arriving at the CEDIA 24 Horas, a most warm welcome also to you, those of you joining through our dedicated American Sign Language broadcast, made possible with the help of our friends at Deaf Catholic Youth Initiative for the Americas. My name is Linda Bordoni. It's my pleasure to be with you here today. So as I was saying, it is Pope Leo XIV's first day in Spain, the first day of a 6-day apostolic visit, taking him to Spain. It will take him from Madrid to Barcelona and then on to the Canary Islands, both to Tenerife and to the Grand Canaries. We see here he's arriving on the very first day, setting the stage for a trip which promises to be filled with encounter, with solidarity. Before arriving here at this shelter for homeless people, he met with some 40 people who are disabled or have illnesses, and he comes to bring his closeness, his listening. The CEDIA 24 Horas is a reception and first aid center for people who are experiencing homelessness. It's managed by the Diocesan Caritas of Madrid, and it is located in the Lucero district. The center operates 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and it provides basic services, social support, pathways towards reintegration, in addition to emergency assistance and shelter. It includes supported housing apartments for people who may be making progress in their recovery and reintegration stage. And the support offered goes beyond basic care, and it encompasses vocational training, workshops, individualized intervention programs, comprehensive social assistance. We see Pope Leo XIV entering the center, a small building with a courtyard outside where many of the people who have been assisted by the center staff, volunteers, are awaiting him.
Están acogidos y residen aquí.
So first of all, he is welcomed by the Metropolitan Archbishop of Madrid, Cardinal José Cobo Cano, and by the director of the center.
vulnerabilidad y se
We see him meeting a staff member who is telling him about some of the cases, some of the stories that make up this reality. He's explaining how the center operates and how the assistance provided to people experiencing homelessness is aimed towards reintegration and autonomy. He's walking through the medical assistance section of the CEDIA 24 Horas Center. And hearing first-hand accounts from the people who work there. Before later he will also be hearing from some of those who receive assistance from this Caritas-run structure. Already on the flight this morning from Rome, the Pope did point out that this journey was taking place in a spirit of closeness and encounter. He is in Spain, of course, to affirm Catholics in their faith, but also to speak to everyone, to reach out to everyone, because he says the Church has something to say to everyone. He also reiterated his appeal for peace, and he decried the war in Ukraine and the ongoing conflict in Lebanon, and expressed his hope that diplomacy may bring lasting solutions for the good of humanity. Here we see this Caritas staff awaiting Pope Leo XIV in the dispensary, in the kitchen. The Archbishop of Madrid by his side. As I mentioned, Cardinal José Cobo Cano. And a group of residents of the center, volunteers, who have prepared gifts for the Pope, rosaries, and some simple refreshments. Here he is being introduced to the people who work at the center, some of whom have already passed through the center, who maybe have been assisted by other volunteers and staff members, and today find themselves able to give back what they received. Shaking hands with everyone. Staff members are wearing their red T-shirts with the name of the center and the Caritas logo. Of course, Pope Leo XIV, being a Spanish speaker, as we know, thanks to his many years spent in Peru, is exchanging in Spanish. The director here we see of the center, he is Juan José Gómez Escalonilla. This encounter will develop in stages. Of course, the Archbishop will address the Pope, as will the director. Here we see them unveiling a plaque which says that on the 6th of June 2026, Pope Leo XIV was here to bless the center and all those who work here and are assisted by this diocesan center. The Pope is taking a seat to sign the Book of Honor with the red Caritas pen. A hum of expectation in the background. And excitement. Pope Leo XIV has chosen to come to this place of hope, of solidarity, of charity, on the very first day of his 6-day apostolic visit to Spain, setting the tone a little of his visit after having addressed authorities this morning at the royal palace, where he was greeted by the King and Queen of Spain. He immediately met disabled people, sick people, and is here in this center of solidarity and welcome. You see the Pope stepping out into the courtyard, where members of this very special community are gathered to greet him. Before him is the logo of the papal journey, Alzad la mirada, which means uplift your gaze. This visit, of course, goes beyond words. It is extremely symbolic in the fact that he has chosen to do so right at the beginning of this apostolic visit. The first greeting is from Archbishop of Madrid, Cardinal José Cobocano. Holy Father, this is the first word, and also the first gesture of gratitude from this Church of Madrid, which journeys at the heart of a vibrant, diverse and complex city. A city whose identity seems always to say, if you are in Madrid, you are from Madrid. Thank you, Holy Father, for being here today. Thank you for being today as well one of Madrid's own. Madrid has always been a city of encounter and of many open doors. Here, a Christian community has gradually been woven together by generations of people who have come from many different places. And today, Your Holiness enters Madrid through a singular doorway, small in appearance, yet immense in mercy. This place has something of Bethlehem about it, a humble corner through which God chose to enter the world. Here in the shadow of this parish, La Cruci, we find ourselves at the crossroads of several neighborhoods, Carabanchel, Latina, Aluche and Lucero. Names that evoke simple lives, daily effort, and a church incarnated in the realities of everyday life. From here, this diocese wishes to offer you the first of the embraces you will receive during these days. An embrace born of the conviction that the gospel is best understood when reality is viewed from the perspective of the least among us. For in places such as this, we learn every day that Christ not only sends us to the poor, but that He Himself becomes present in them. For this reason, beginning in this way is not merely a pastoral choice, it's also a profession of faith that we make together with the Pope. Lift up your eyes. Lift up your gaze. This is the invitation that resounds among us today. Yet we wish to do so without losing touch with the ground beneath our feet, with our feet firmly planted in the mud and on the streets where so many people continue to seek housing, dignified work, companionship and hope. Madrid needs this breadth of vision not in order to escape from itself, but to walk forward with greater fraternity and shared hope. Last year, Madrid Diocesan Caritas accompanied nearly 90,000 people through parish initiatives and more than 400 social projects serving families, homeless persons, migrants, young people and the elderly. Consecrated religious communities also sustain a further 300 projects within our diocese. Alongside the many initiatives of the diocesan social ministry and other ecclesial realities, it is exactly the most vulnerable who welcome you first today and show you their affection. From then, receive the embrace of the entire Christian community that walks alongside those living in poverty, offering prayer, closeness, and generous commitment through works relating to housing, food assistance, and employment. Receive also the affection of the more than 9,500 Caritas workers and volunteers, together with the many others who form the rich network of the Church's social ministry, accompanying families, migrants, older persons, young people and those without a home each day. The best person able to explain this project to you, a sign of so many others that form part of your diocesan church, is Mr. Luis Hernández Voz Mediano, Director of Madrid Diocesan Caritas. Welcome, Holy Father, welcome to Madrid through this doorway, one among many, which, like Bethlehem, opens the way to the gospel and leads us step by step from Madrid to heaven.
Querido Santo Padre, es un honor, como en nombre de Caritas Madrid, le doy la bienvenida a CEDIA.
Dear Holy Father, on behalf of Caritas Madrid, I warmly welcome you to CEDIA, our reception center for people experiencing homelessness. We are deeply grateful for your desire to begin your visit to Madrid by meeting with those who are vulnerable and excluded from our society. This profoundly gospel-inspired gesture by which the last are today placed first moves us deeply and at the same time strengthens us in our mission. Each year, more than 2,500 people pass through this information and reception center where we are gathered today. They are women and men marked by the wounds of life on the streets, people who've been cast aside, who lack documentation, employment opportunities, or stable housing, often struggling with mental health difficulties, addictions, and the absence of any support network. The average length of stay is less than 3 months. Our days remain open 24 hours a day. We ask nothing of those who come to us. No one leaves empty-handed. We offer what we have: welcome, attentive listening, care and affection, and above all, recognition of the dignity that God has bestowed upon every man and woman by creating them in His image and likeness. We also provide a bed, meals, showers, information and guidance.
Trabajamos en
During
talleres
their stay with us, participants
talleres
take
encuentro
part in
personal
workshops
que
that
permite
foster
iniciar un
personal
proceso
encounters and
que
help
quiebra las
initiate a
ataduras de la
process
exclusión
aimed at breaking
que se ven
the bonds of
sometidos.
exclusion to which they have
Las
been
personas que se
subjected.
encuentran hoy aquí
The people gathered here today
representan
represent
otras
many
muchas
others
que están acompañadas
who are
y acogidas
accompanied
no
and
solo por
welcomed
Cáritas,
not only by
sino
Caritas,
también por las
but
congregaciones
also by other
religiosas,
religious
la pastoral
congregations
social
and
de
the
la
social
Iglesia.
pastoral ministries of our Archdiocese. We
También se
are
encuentran con
also
nosotros una
joined by
representación de
representatives
esas
of those
personas
who
que
accompany
acompañan
and support them.
a los que están aquí. Todos vienen de diversos proyectos.
They
por
come from a
ejemplo, de
wide
exclusión,
range of initiatives,
luchas contra la
including
trata,
programs
acogida a
addressing
personas
social
migrantes
exclusion
o
and
privados
human
de
trafficking,
libertad,
assistance to
apoyo a
migrants
madres
and persons
gestantes,
deprived of
protección
their
a la
liberty,
familia,
support
a la
for
infancia, a la
expectant
juventud,
mothers, protection of
y a las personas
families,
mayores,
children, young
pastoral
people
de
and
la
the
salud,
elderly, health,
ecología
pastoral
integral
care,
y otros
integral
muchos más.
ecology, and many other forms of
Nosotros,
outreach.
impulsados por la fuerza del
Inspired
Espíritu,
by the power of the
nos
Holy
implicamos en
Spirit,
el encuentro
all of
con
us
ellos.
commit ourselves
Cuidamos de la
to encountering
vulnerabilidad,
these individuals,
iniciamos
caring for their
procesos que
vulnerability,
rompan el círculo de la pobreza y
promoting
la
processes
exclusión.
that can break the cycle of
Las
poverty
historias
and
de vida que
exclusion.
comparten nos
The
muestran
life
con toda
stories
su
they share
crudeza
reveal
el
in all their
sufrimiento humano
starkness the
y las
reality of human
injusticias que se
suffering
cometen en
and the
nuestra sociedad.
injustices present in our society.
Nos esforzamos por
We
mitigar
strive
estas
to alleviate
situaciones,
these
dar
situations,
voz al que no
to
la
give a
tiene,
voice to those who have
visibilizar a
none,
los
and to
invisibles.
make visible those who are
Trabajamos por
too
el
often
reino de Dios y su
unseen.
justicia,
We
la
work for the
protección
kingdom of God
efectiva de
and
los
His
derechos humanos.
justice and for the effective
Las
protection of
personas que
human rights.
acompañamos
The
son los
people whom
auténticos
we
héroes de esta
accompany are the
historia.
true heroes
Con
of
su
this story.
esfuerzo, su
Through their
valentía,
determination,
su
courage, and
perseverancia,
perseverance,
avanzan hacia la
they
inclusión
advance
social.
along the path towards
La
social
Iglesia
inclusion.
Les da un apoyo
The
no
Church
pequeño,
offers them
pero
significant
ellos son los
support,
auténticos
but they are the
protagonistas de
real
la acción
protagonists of this
y nos
journey.
ayudan a
They
alzar la
help us
mirada
to lift
y
our
ver la
gaze
realidad
and see
con los
reality
ojos del
through the
amor
eyes of
y
love
con
and
esperanza.
hope.
Sin más preámbulos, pasamos al desarrollo
Without
del
further
encuentro,
ado, we now
que hemos preparado
begin
con tanto
this
cariño y
meeting, which we
ilusión.
have prepared with
Esperamos
great
que se sienta en
affection
su
and
casa
enthusiasm.
y que seamos
We
capaces
hope
de
that you will feel
transmitirle
at home
el
among us
afecto y la
and that
admiración
we may
que le
succeed
tenemos.
in conveying
Gracias.
the affection and admiration we hold for you. Thank you.
Gracias, señor cardenal. Gracias también, Luis,
Thank
director de
you,
Cáritas Diocesana de Madrid.
Cardinal.
Santo
Thank
Padre,
you,
bienvenido.
Director
Radio no
of
es un
Caritas.
escenario, es un lugar donde cada día ocurre algo sencillo y extraordinario a la vez.
We are now going to listen to some of the testimonies of some of those who have been assisted by the CEDIA 24 Horas social project.
Las personas que hoy llenan este espacio lo saben mejor que nadie y han querido estar aquí para decírselo. Permítame presentarle a todas ellas.
Allow me
Personas
to
que llegan
present
con sus familias, con sus hijos, con sus hijas, buscando un lugar
Niurka.
donde poder sostener la vida. Personas también que viven la dureza de la privación de la libertad y necesitan un camino de reinserción y de esperanza. Personas mayores que afrontan también la soledad y que buscan un
He's
espacio de
introducing
encuentro y
the
de cuidado.
people who are here
También
to
hay
give
mujeres
their
que han sido víctimas
testimonies.
de diversa índole y necesitan ser acompañadas desde la
So,
protección y la dignidad.
We're going to hear from Niurka,
un espacio seguro.
um,
Jóvenes que buscan una oportunidad, un futuro, un camino que poder
this
recorrer.
is Mario
Personas
Alcudia
migrantes,
who is
hablaba usted
introducing
de
them.
esta mañana, con incertidumbre y necesitan orientación, acogida y comunidad. Personas que viven con muchísimos
He's talking
problemas
about
o procesos de adicción y
the
necesitan
three people who've
tiempos
been
en
chosen
familia y
to
personas que
represent
trabajan y aún
some of the
no logran
stories
unas
that
condiciones
every day
de vida dignas.
cross the
Hay quienes
threshold
llevan
of
décadas
this
desde
of this
tantos
center.
sin cámaras, sin aplausos.
So we're
Hay
going
quienes
to
trabajan
listen
cada día
to a
para
woman
que
from
no sea solo una palabra.
Cuba.
Tres de ellas quieren
We're going
acercarse
to
a los
listen
pies, no traen discursos,
to a Senegalese
traen
man
ayuda.
who suffered a
La
long
voy a
and
presentar la primera
dangerous
llegó de Cuba,
migration
hace menos de un
journey.
año, sola y
And we're
embarazada, y
going to
encontró
listen
aquí en Madrid una iglesia, una familia
to,
cuando más lo necesitaba. Con sus dos bebés.
Alicia,
La segunda,
a volunteer
en México en
at
6 días. Llegó a una ciudad
the parish.
cerrada por la pandemia.
Oh,
Vivió en una parroquia de Madrid y lleva 5 años construyendo una vida con honradez y esfuerzo. Y la tercera lleva casi 4 décadas eligiendo lo mismo, estar con quien más lo necesita. Primero como voluntaria en este mismo centro que hoy usted
so
visita.
yes, we're going to hear from
Junto a mujeres
a
víctimas de trata.
volunteer.
Son 3 historias distintas, pero una misma dignidad. y la misma Iglesia detrás de cada una de ellas. Le presento en primer lugar, Santo Padre, a Niurka
First
Paz.
presentation,
Tiene 33 años. Es
Niurka.
abogada, llegó a España desde Cuba el pasado verano, llegó
She's
sola,
33 years old, a lawyer. She arrived in Spain from Cuba last summer, carrying her story and a quiet strength that never ceased to sustain her. She arrived alone, unemployed, and with her savings exhausted. At her most fragile moment, she learnt that she was expecting twins, far from her family, in a city that did not yet feel like home. It was the church that welcomed her. Through Caritas, she came to the Santa Barbara home. Here's Niurka. Holy Father, thank you for coming and for drawing close to us. Just over a year, I arrived in Madrid alone, pregnant with my children, and not knowing how I would move forward. I was very afraid, but the church welcomed me. At the Santa Barbara home, I found a family. Thanks to the sisters, the volunteers, and the educators who accompanied me every day, I learned that I was not alone. Here, Ares and Atenea, the twins, were born. Here, they received baptism. Today, I look at my children and know that we can have a future. We are far from our family, but we have a community that supports us. That's why today I offer you this ribbon with their names, like those placed on newborn babies in hospitals. It represents their lives, which were able to flourish in a difficult moment, thanks to the welcome and care we received. And we see Niurka offering Pope Leo XIV the ribbon with the names of the two babies. May God bless those who accompany others, Niurka said, Holy Father, for that is where the church is found, wherever it is most needed. And now Mario Alcudia is going to present us Kadri, a Senegalese man who arrived after a migration journey during the pandemic and found in the church a place of welcome. Today, his story has taken a new direction, from receiving help to offering it, becoming involved in welcoming others in similar situations, as a sign of transformation and commitment to those who arrived after him.
Santo Padre, gracias por acercarse a las personas migrantes.
Holy Father,
Cuando llegué a España,
thank you for being here and for drawing close to migrants. When I arrived in Spain at such a difficult time as the pandemic, I felt I had left everything behind and did not know where to begin. I felt alone. But I found people who welcomed me without asking questions, who looked at me with respect and made me feel that my life mattered.
Hoy pero no. Santo Padre, gracias por acercarse a las personas migrantes.
Holy Father, thank you for being here and for drawing close to migrants. When I arrived in Spain at such a difficult time as the pandemic, I felt lost. I had left everything behind and did not know where to begin. But I found people who welcomed me without asking questions, who looked at me with respect and made me feel that my life mattered. Little by little, I began to trust again, to get back on my feet, and to believe that I could move forward. Today I have a job and have been able to begin a new chapter in my life. I know that God has guided my steps. My wish now is to return to my country for a few days, embrace my family, and share with them how I am doing, because it has not been easy for them either. I also want to be an example to others. That's why I offer you a replica of my residence permit. It represents a long period of waiting and effort, but also a life restored to dignity. Thank you to those who welcome others, for when a person is welcomed, they discover that they never cease to have a place in the world.
Ya ve que es un luchador, ya ve que ha intentado aprender incluso su discurso de memoria y los nervios le han fallado.
He learned his discourse by heart, but his nerves, his anxiety betrayed him, so he had to read it. Now we hear from Alba, social worker and she is a volunteer with the project Hope of the Adorers Sisters, which accompanies women who are victims of trafficking and exploitation. Alicia's testimony. Holy Father, I come before you on behalf of the many volunteers of the social ministry of the Diocese of Madrid who live their mission as a humble service to the Church and to the most vulnerable. For us, accompaniment is a concrete way of proclaiming the gospel, being close, listening, caring, and recognizing the dignity, sacred dignity of every person. I always remember Moses before the burning bush when God says to him, "Take off your sandals, from the place where you are standing is holy ground." That is why we offer you these sandals as a sign of respect, service, and of the many paths we have shared with those who suffer most.
Y que son para mí, junto a muchas de las personas que están aquí, un ejemplo de fortaleza. Es gente que se pone en pie, que alza la mirada y que afronta la vida con esperanza. Gracias.
Pope Leo XIV has received the gifts of those representing the volunteers, the beneficiaries of the project, the Caritas workers. And I think now we're going to listen to a short concert.
Pone su arte al servicio de este encuentro con usted. En la víspera de la solemnidad del Corpus, la canción que vamos a escuchar nos recuerda que el amor de Dios se entrega, se parte y se comparte, que no se queda lejos, sino que se hace cercanía y presencia. La canción que va a escuchar se titula Incomparable, ha adaptado un tema original suyo a este momento.
So this song has been especially adapted for this event.
También agradecida por la esperanza y por ese amor de Dios que se hace gesto y acto concreto en cada gesto de acogida. En este lugar, en CEDIA, donde tantas personas han encontrado, como estamos escuchando, ese descanso, pues este canto adquiere un sentido especial.
So this song has a special significance. It's been especially tailored to fit this occasion and to speak of the people who live this reality. Spain, of course, has a wonderful tradition of Spanish guitar music.
Veo la melancolía en tu mirada, pero el Señor derramó su sangre salvarla. Y ahora que se cae la tarde y yo me quedo sola, no dejo de pensar en ti. Y qué bonito conocerte y tenerte como te tengo yo. Te quiero, mi Señor. Sabes que tuvo que ser una vida inigualable. A veces lloro sin saber por qué. Será porque yo te tengo delante y donde yo te puedo ver, aunque solo sea un instante. Te amo. Agua donde yo puedo beber, eres una fuente inagotable. Tú le diste vida y a mi ser, gracias por ser incomparable. Y en cada sueño te busqué y ninguno fue en balde. Te amo. A veces, mi Señor, a veces siento que me abraza y escucho el eco de tu voz y se derrama tu caridad por los rincones de esta casa. Eres el Salvador. Sabes que tuvo que ser una vida inigualable. A veces lloro sin saber por qué. Será porque yo te tengo delante, porque yo te puedo ver, aunque solo sea un instante. Te amo. Agua donde yo puedo beber, eres una fuente inagotable. Y tú le diste vida y a mi ser, gracias por ser incomparable. En cada sueño te busqué y ninguno fue en balde. Te amo. Viviré una cometa, quiero ser tu nombre en ella escribiré y soltaré con ella tus detalles. Abriré mis ojos al amanecer y llenarás de luz mi ser y guardaré de nuevo tus detalles. Viviré una cometa, quiero ser tu nombre en ella escribiré y saltaré con ella tus detalles. Abriré mis ojos al amanecer y llenarás de luz mi ser y guardaré de nuevo tus detalles.
A moving performance there in true Spanish flamenco tradition. Wonderful guitarmanship, percussions, and this very flamenco voice. Beautiful. She almost broke into dance there. And now Pope Leo XIV. It's the Pope's turn to... He sat down again. Okay, so the presenter's back on stage.
Gratitud y con el corazón abierto ahora sí, le invitamos por favor a que nos dirija su mensaje. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, says Pope Leo XIV.
Como ven, yo tampoco he memorizado mi discurso. Entonces, como estamos todos aquí en familia.
We're like here in the family.
Excelencias,
Your
queridos
Eminence,
hermanos,
Your
hermanas.
Excellencies, dear brothers and sisters.
Sinceramente, soy muy contento
I am
de
very
comenzar aquí mi
happy to
visita a
begin my
Madrid.
visit to Madrid here.
Como ha dicho Su Eminencia,
As His
quien
Eminence
está
said,
en Madrid,
anyone
es de Madrid.
who is in Madrid is from Madrid. And so,
Por tanto, yo también estoy
I
entre
too am
vosotros
here among you
como un madrileño más.
as another
Gracias,
Madrileñan.
Madrid, por esta bienvenida.
Thank you, Madrid, for this welcome.
Una bienvenida que me hace sentir
A welcome
parte
which
de
makes
una
me feel
gran y
part of a
maravillosa
large and
familia,
wonderful family,
la que, como en todas las
in which,
familias,
as in all families,
milagros de amor.
miracles of
En
love take
particular, en
place.
esta casa,
This is
donde
particularly
nadie
true in
se
this
queda
home,
solo.
where no one remains alone.
Aquí,
Here,
alegría y el dolor de
each
cada uno
person's joy and
son la
sorrow
alegría y
are
el
the
dolor
joy
de todos.
and sorrow of
Y al
all.
escucharnos mutuamente,
By listening to one
afrontamos
another,
juntos los retos
we face challenges
sin ignorar la
together
complejidad de
without
las
disregarding the
situaciones
complexity of
y al mismo
situations,
tiempo
and at the
sin
same
dejar
time
de lado
without
las
neglecting the
exigencias
demands
de la
of
caridad
charity
y de la justicia.
and justice.
En diálogo con todos
In the
los que
context
se
of dialogue
preocupan
with all
seriamente
those seriously
por el hombre y
concerned
su
for
mundo.
humanity and for the
Así, el
world
CEDIA
in which we
recorre
live.
el camino del
Thus,
Evangelio,
CEDIA follows the
siguiendo
path
las
of the
huellas de
gospel in the
Jesús, el Hijo de
footsteps of
Dios,
Jesus,
que se hizo hombre,
the Son of God,
no solo para
who became
sanar
man,
nuestras
not only to
enfermedades y
heal our
miserias,
illnesses and
sino
miseries,
para
but to
hacerlas
make them his
suyas,
own,
excepto el pecado.
except for sin,
Viviendo como uno de nosotros,
living as one
la
of us
debilidad
in
y
weakness,
identificándose con
and
toda persona que
identifying with
sufre,
everyone who
hasta el
suffers,
punto de decirnos
even to the point of saying,
cada vez que lo hiciste
just
con
as
uno
you
de
did it
estos,
to
mis
one of the
hermanos
least
más
of these
pequeños,
who are members
conmigo
of my
lo
family,
hicisteis.
you did it to me.
En este sentido, podemos interpretar
It
las
is in this
palabras que
sense that we
acabamos
can
de escuchar en
understand
el
the words
canto.
we have just heard in
En
the
cada
song.
sueño te busqué,
In every dream I
en
sought
ninguno
you,
fue en
and none
vano.
was in vain.
Ellas sintetizan muy
They
bien
sum
los
up very well the
testimonios
testimonies
que
we
hemos
have heard
escuchado y el trabajo
and the
que se
work
lleva a cabo
carried out
aquí
here
cada día.
every day.
En efecto,
Indeed,
gracias a un
thanks
sueño
to a dream
y una pequeña puerta abierta,
and a small
pequeña
open
en
door,
tamaño, pero inmensa
small
en
in size but
misericordia,
immense in
como ha
mercy,
dicho
as
su
His
eminencia,
Eminence said,
Niurka les ha dado a
Niurka
Ares y
has
a
given
Atenea la vida,
Aris and Athena
el
life,
amor de madre,
her motherly
la
love,
gracia del bautismo
the grace of
y la
baptism,
promesa
and the
de un
promise
futuro feliz.
of a happy future.
Gracias a un sueño,
Thanks to a
de esa
dream
misma pequeña puerta,
and that same small door,
Kadri ha atravesado
Kadri
el
has made
oscuro
it
túnel
through
de
the
la
dark
pandemia
tunnel of the
y un
pandemic
viaje lleno de
and a journey
incógnitas.
full of uncertainties.
Con la ayuda de quienes le
With the
tendieron la
help
mano,
of those who lent him a
demostrando que
hand,
lo apreciaban y creían en
showing
él,
him that they cared for and
encontrado un
believed in
trabajo
him,
y sobre
he
todo,
found a job and
ha
above all
recuperado
regained
las ganas no
the
solo de
desire
seguir
not only to
adelante,
move forward,
sino también de servir
but
a
also
su
to
vez de
support
apoyo a
others,
otros,
just as others
tal y
have
como
supported
otros lo han apoyado a él.
him.
Gracias también a un sueño
Thanks
y a
also
esa
to a
misma
dream
pequeña puerta,
and that
cada
small,
día Alicia,
that
los
same
demás
small
voluntarios
door,
del
every day
Proyecto
Alicia and the
Esperanza
other volunteers at the
ayudan
Hope
a
Project
tantas mujeres a
help so
recuperar
many
la
women
dignidad,
to start a new
la
life
autonomía,
and to
la
regain
esperanza
dignity,
y el
independence,
respeto por el
hope,
valor sagrado de
and
su
respect
persona
for the sacred
para
value of
iniciar
their
una
humanity.
nueva vida.
The symbols
También los símbolos que me habéis
you have
regalado
given me
son un mensaje para todos.
are also a message for
La cinta
everyone.
con los nombres de los niños.
The ribbon bearing the children's
Expresa la
names
alegría de cada nacimiento
expresses
trae al
the
mundo.
joy that every
El
birth brings to the
permiso de
world.
residencia,
The residence
cuenta una
permit
historia
tells
de
a story of
esfuerzo,
effort
pero sobre
and
todo
above
de
all,
compromiso,
of commitment,
honestidad y
honesty, and
acogida.
welcome.
Las sandalias
The sandal,
recuerdan el encuentro de
which
Moisés y
recalls
Dios en
Moses'
Horeb,
encounter with
evoca
God
la
at
tierra
Horeb,
sagrada
evokes
estamos
the
obligados
sacred
a
ground that
respetar
we
en
are bound
toda
to respect
existencia
in
humana.
every human life. I express heartfelt gratitude to all of you for sharing your experiences of pain, which are above all full of light and that reflect like mirrors the love of God. Your testimonies open a window onto a vast panorama filled with countless mothers like Nurka, boys and girls like Ares and Athena, women and men like Kadri and volunteers like Alicia, so many people, so many brothers and sisters, so many stories. These stories are so numerous that, as St. John says, if every one of them were written down, I suppose that the world itself could not contain the books that would be written. This comparison with the gospel is not forced, for the things that Jesus did, the things to which the evangelist refers, continue in these stories. In his remarks, the Archbishop spoke of the path that leads from Bethlehem to paradise. Madrid is also famous for the nativity scenes that adorn the city during the Christmas season. Their beauty, however, is but a pale reflection of an even greater and deeper wonder which we find here today. The lights, voices and sounds that touch our hearts and bring tears to our eyes during the Christmas season are in reality carried within us, with us and among us throughout the year. Today, they are more alive and radiant than ever in this place, around this simple and welcoming nativity scene, which with God's help, you continue to prepare day by day, or literally, day and night, for Jesus, present in the people who come to the center's doorstep in search of help. The words Jesus spoke to his disciples have been chosen as the theme for this visit. Look around you. These words are an invitation to contemplate the fields that now ripe await the harvest, and they remind us that charity permits no delay. If the wheat is not harvested when it is ripe, the harvest is lost. This is our responsibility before those in need. It is a responsibility that consecrates every encounter with another as a kairos, a unique and unrepeatable moment of grace in which to love, which must not be lost or postponed. The love of Christ impels us towards our brothers and sisters, and the charity and concern with which we respond to its promptings are the proof of our faith. If we think about it carefully, in reality, Christians too, on a number of occasions, have succumbed to attitudes shaped by secular ideologies or political and economic approaches that lead to gross generalizations and mistaken conclusions. The fact that some dismiss or ridicule charitable works as if they were an obsession on the part of few and not the burning heart of the Church's mission convinces me of the need to go back and reread the Gospel, lest we risk replacing it with the wisdom of this world. The poor cannot be neglected if we are to remain within the great current of the Church's life that has its source in the Gospel and bears fruit in every time and place. Jesus' words are also an invitation to cultivate a heart that is sensitive to the needs of others, keeping alive within us the desire for the good that God has placed in our very humanity, and that faith sets free and strengthens. Pope Francis said in this regard, faced with the mystery of life and the challenges of society, those who believe have a spring in their step. a passion, a dream to cultivate, an interest that impels them to personally commit themselves. He also warned of the danger of a flat, cold heart, accustomed to the quiet life, which is encased in indifference and becomes impermeable. A living heart is warm and beating, and it gives life. A cold heart is motionless, no longer pumps blood, and leads to death. But I would like to highlight one final aspect of the Lord's invitation. It is also a call to look at those who suffer in the eye, and to make our assistance, above all, an encounter between brothers and sisters united in the Father's embrace. Pope Francis also greatly emphasized this point. He asked, "When you give alms, do you look the beggar in the eye? Do you touch his hand to feel his flesh?" And he concluded, "Alms are not the same as philanthropy. The person who receives the most grace from almsgiving is the one who gives, because he makes himself visible to the Lord's eyes. Those who truly love do more than give alms. They listen, they engage, they try to understand and deal with difficult situations and their causes. They consider not only material but also spiritual needs, and they work for the integral promotion of individuals." And we might conclude by looking to Mary, in whose charity all this finds its fulfillment. In her solicitous love at Cana, longing to follow in her son's footsteps, close and present at the foot of the cross to the very end. To her I entrust each one of you and your work in this land consecrated to her, hoping that the spirit of her universal motherhood may evermore animate the cry of faith. To her let us say, "Teach us to see you always as Mother, fountain of mercy, bosom of forgiveness, embrace of hope, gate of glory." Thank you.
Santidad, gracias por sus palabras. Aquí de verdad se mira con esos ojos del Señor, se mira al corazón de la gente. La cogemos sus palabras como una llamada.
Presenter here thanking Pope Leo XIV for his presence, for his words.
Antes de su llegada en este patio, hemos compartido testimonios, símbolos y música que expresan la vida acompañada por la Iglesia de Madrid. Personas que buscan, los ha escuchado algunos, un nuevo comienzo, voluntariado que camina al lado y una comunidad que quiere cuidar la dignidad de cada persona. Todo lo vivido ha quedado reflejado en este árbol que está viendo usted aquí, el árbol de la esperanza, lleno de flores con los colores de su visita, donde cada flor ha sido escrita.
He's explaining one of the gifts that has been chosen for Pope Leo XIV,
Queremos entregarle también una réplica
the Tree of Life,
como agradecimiento y compromiso de seguir acompañando, seguir cuidando y seguir creyendo que la esperanza puede echar raíces y dar fruto. Y para ello le vamos a presentar ahora a Alba.
It has been created in the occupational workshops of the Addiction Treatment Center of the Caritas.
Que atraviesan procesos de adicción y que buscan recuperar su vida, sus vínculos y su futuro. Ella representa también a tantas personas que han decidido dedicar su vida profesional al servicio de las personas y de las familias más necesitadas, acompañando con respeto, con cercanía y con esperanza. Y hoy le trae este árbol de la esperanza realizado en los talleres ocupacionales de ese
This is the tree, as I was saying, created in the Addiction Treatment Center of the Caritas, made by hands learning to rebuild their lives and bearing the hopes and wishes of all those present who represent the Church's social outreach in Madrid. It embodies accompaniment, the memory of today's encounter, and the symbol that has united the entire event. Holy Father, thank you for being here and for looking closely at this reality. This tree we present to you was made by people who are going through very difficult times, yet who find reasons every day to keep moving forward. At the center, we see how when someone feels listened to, welcomed, and cared for with affection, something begins to change. Trust returns, hope returns. This tree is born from that experience, from small gestures, from hands that learn to believe again, and from lives that gradually open themselves once more. Today, we would like you to take this tree with you. It's a mosaic of hopes, each leaf a wish, each wish a life seeking to move forward. Thank you for remaining close to those most in need. That gives them strength to continue. And this is the gift that Pope Leo XIV has brought from Rome to leave here at the center. It's an icon of Christ, face of love. So with that exchange of gifts, and the Pope, I think, is preparing to bless those present.
Bien, antes de dar la bendición, vamos a rezar por un momento.
So before the blessing, let us pray together. Our Father,
santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino. Hágase tu voluntad en la tierra como en el cielo. Danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día. Perdona nuestras ofensas, como también nosotros perdonamos a los que nos ofenden. No nos dejes caer en la tentación y líbranos del mal. El Señor esté con vosotros. Bendito sea el nombre del Señor. Nuestro auxilio es el nombre del Señor. La bendición de Dios Todopoderoso, Padre, Hijo y Espíritu Santo, descienda sobre vosotros y os acompañe siempre. Amén. Felicidades a todos. Muchas gracias por este testimonio.
Pope Leo XIV has imparted his apostolic blessing and thanked all those present for this moving event and for sharing their stories.
Gracias, Santo Padre. Pues va usted ahora a recorrer el pasillo para saludar, creo, a las personas.
Thank you, Holy Father, of course.
Para recibir su saludo y su bendición. Muchísimas gracias.
And we hear a closing song in the background. The Cardinal, the Archbishop of Madrid, accompanying the Pope, who is making his way out of the center, but on his way, he's stopping to greet those present, taking time to write words of closeness for them, shaking hands, listening to more stories. This moving encounter comes on the first day of Pope Leo XIV's 6-day apostolic journey to Spain, which will take him in the coming days also to Barcelona and to the Canary Islands, where he is particularly expected to spend time with the migrants who leave their homes, their continent, Africa in this case, sail up the very dangerous routes of the Atlantic Ocean in search of freedom, in search of a better life, in search of a job, to be able to feed their families, to offer a future to their own children. We see the Pope stopping to exchange words, to give his blessing to the many people who are at the center, to thank him for being here, to thank him for his words of closeness and for his attention to those who are at the heart of the Catholic Church and of the message of the gospel, those who are the most vulnerable, the most marginalized, those who suffer just as Christ did as he became man. The Pope's first day in Madrid does not end with this event. He will be going on to join a prayer vigil in Madrid with the faithful, with young people. Of course, we will be bringing you full coverage of that vigil on these same platforms this evening, on all Vatican News, Vatican Media platforms, on YouTube, on our social media platforms, and by providing the live streamed event of that prayer vigil, as well as we will be providing you with full coverage of the Pope's entire apostolic journey. He's scheduled to fly back to Rome on the 12th of June, wrapping up his fourth apostolic journey abroad, journey taking him to Spain after having traveled to Turkey and Lebanon, to the Principality of Monaco, and to 4 African countries in April. We remember him traveling to Algeria, to Cameroon, to Angola, and to Equatorial Guinea. Taking his time here to shake hands and to make every single person feel part of his attention, blessing babies, thanking volunteers, and just showing his closeness to all men and women of goodwill, in the hope of helping build a peaceful future for humanity. Pope Leo here again, taking his time to say farewell, to thank everyone for this very warm welcome. And we've been following Pope Leo XIV's visit to the CEDIA 24 Horas Center in Madrid, run by the Madrid Diocese. We've been listening to the testimonies of those who give life to this reality of solidarity, of charity, of fraternal love, of welcome, of inclusion. We've been listening to the testimony of a Cuban woman who arrived in Madrid and had nowhere to go, to a refugee from Senegal. And here he arrives. It's a welcome to the parish of the Crucifixion.
Cáritas, comunidades parroquiales, congregaciones religiosas, asociaciones, personas que cada día con su dedicación y entrega
all made up of so many people who offer their love, their service, their charity. Thank you, Holy Father, for raising awareness and for the pastoral ministry of the Catholic Church.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Es un gusto estar aquí. Estoy muy contento.
It is wonderful to be here. I'm happy to start my visit with a visit to a parish called Crucifixion. It is not a signal of death, it's a signal of hope, of life, of new life, of resurrection. So, thank you to all those associations represented here. Thank you for your service. This is a true signal of hope in a world that needs the living word of the gospel. We must all feel on our skin, in our hearts, the word of the gospel against that culture of indifference. You offer great possibility to offer a signal of hope to us and to the entire world. Thank you. Thank you for holding up the cross as a symbol of renewal and life, of walking together towards the joy of the resurrection. Thank you. And Pope Leo XIV will again bestow his apostolic blessing on those present.
Aunque en casa también lo podemos hacer, evidentemente, pero unidos así como una gran comunidad.
United this parish like a great community of faith, like Jesus taught us.
Que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino. Hágase tu voluntad en la tierra como en el cielo. Danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día. Perdona nuestras ofensas, como también nosotros perdonamos a los que nos ofenden. No nos dejes caer en la tentación y líbranos del mal. El Señor esté con vosotros. Bendito sea el nombre del Señor. Nuestro auxilio es el nombre del Señor. La bendición de Dios Todopoderoso, Padre, Hijo y Espíritu Santo, descienda sobre vosotros y con vosotros remanga siempre. Amén. Pues muchas gracias, felicidades, gracias por este hermoso servicio.
There the Pope was praying together with the community of the parish of the Crucifixion, of the representatives of the many charity organizations that give life to a culture of mercy and inclusion in Madrid, and where he also again imparted his apostolic blessing. Of course, everyone wants to greet him, to thank him. And we have the Cardinal here, the Archbishop of Madrid, just whispering in his ear who the people are, what charities they head or who they work for. All of them representatives of realities that bring solidarity, charity, compassion to the many people in need. Be they victims of human trafficking, be they migrants without residence permits, be they homeless people who have lost their livelihoods, be they disabled people who are excluded from working, the many, many faces of a suffering humanity, but the many faces of those who dedicate their lives to bringing the word of the gospel and to bringing concrete assistance to those in need. Here we see the Cardinal Archbishop of Madrid, seems to know everyone, is telling the Pope each person's name, telling them what they do. We can see him succinctly explaining the enormous amount of work that all these people do to bring the word of the gospel, to bring the comfort of the gospel, and to bring help in so many forms, in the forms of a bed, of food, of showers, as we've heard, of psychological support. And here we have, as always, the Pope, who is being led out of the church, out of the parish, but who takes his time to look people in the eye, as we just heard him telling everyone to listen, to try and listen to their stories, and to make sure that every person feels he or she has a place in his attention, in his heart, in the heart of the church. As I was saying, the Pope will proceed to join a prayer vigil this evening, Saturday evening, on the very first day of his 6-day apostolic visit to Spain. This morning, exchanging a few words with journalists accompanying him on the papal flight, he told them that this is an apostolic visit that brings him great joy, that he is very happy to be able to meet with his flock, to share his hopes and his faith with Catholics in Spain, but not only with Catholics, with all men and women of goodwill, he said, because the Church has something to say to everyone. Of course, Vatican Radio, Vatican News, all Vatican media, all of our platforms, our social media platforms, will be bringing you full coverage of this intense journey that takes Pope Francis to Barcelona, and as I was saying, to the Canary Islands throughout the week. On Sunday morning, you will be able to follow a live stream of Holy Mass in Madrid as we prepare to end this live streamed broadcast of the Pope's visit to the CEDIA 24 Horas Center in Madrid. We invite you again to visit the Vatican News web portal, Facebook, Instagram, X, and the YouTube accounts for coverage of all the papal events. And of course, on behalf of Vatican Media, I would like to thank all our sound engineers, our coordinator, Alessandro De Carolis, our sound engineer, Luca Rossi, and our media partners, EWTN TV, Salt and Light TV, Shalom World TV, Atmardashan TV, Catholic Faith Network in America, And those of you listening on radio, Radio Maria England, Luminous Radio India, Radio Maria Papua New Guinea, all of you who made this broadcast possible, and all of you, of course, for joining us. And a huge thank you to all of you joining through our dedicated American Sign Language broadcast, made possible with the help of our friends at Deaf Catholic Youth Initiative for the Americas. I am Linda Bordoni. It's been a pleasure providing the English language commentary of this event. The presenter of the event here, we see, is just thanking those who participated and reiterating the openness of the center always to listen to all those who are in need of sharing and of asking. And so until next time, Laudetur Jesus Christus, praised be Jesus Christ.